Now picture yourself standing at the edge of a river, its waters reflecting every step of your journey. You see it all, the moments of light that guided you, the shadows that tested you. This river, it's your story, flowing with every choice, every struggle, every triumph. You might think of a time when you looked back on your life and saw how far you've come, how the highs and lows wove together into something beautiful. The light and the darkness, they're both part of the current, carrying you toward who you're meant to be. There's a light within you that never fades, no matter how deep the darkness. It's the spark of your spirit, the part of you that keeps going no matter what. Think of a moment when you felt unbreakable, when you knew deep down that you could face anything. Maybe it was a quiet strength, a faith that held you steady, or a belief in yourself that refused to dim. That light, it's eternal, a gift that shines through every night you endure. And now, there's a call, a challenge to act, to take what you've learned and carry it forward. Picture a time when you made a choice to change something, to step into your purpose. Maybe it was a small act, like reaching out to someone, or a big one, like starting a new chapter in your life. The light shows you the way, but it's your courage to move that makes the difference. What could you do today, right now, to let that light shine brighter? The future stretches out before you, full of new shadows, new unknowns. You might feel a flicker of fear, thinking of what's to come, new challenges, new uncertainties. But you've walked through the darkness before. You know its weight, its lessons. Those shadows, they're not here to stop you. They're here to remind you of the light you carry. Every step into the unknown is a chance to discover more of who you are. There's a force stronger than any darkness, a light that burns with a quiet, steady power love. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians, love never fails. Think of a moment when love carried you through, maybe the love of a family member, a friend, or even a stranger's kindness. That love, it's a light that doesn't just guide, it transforms. It binds you to others, to something bigger, to a truth that no shadow can touch. And in the darkness, there's a kind of acceptance, a peace that comes from letting go. You might think of a time when you stopped fighting something, a loss, a failure, a truth you couldn't change. That surrender, it wasn't defeat, it was freedom. It's like laying down a heavy load and finding that the light was there all along, waiting to lift you up. That light, it can be a redemption, a chance to start again. There's a verse in Psalm 30, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Think of a time when you found healing, when the weight of the past gave way to something new. That redemption, it's a light that doesn't just show the way. It remakes the path, turning scars into stories, pain into purpose. You're nearing the end of this journey, standing at the threshold of something new. It's like reaching the top of a mountain after a long climb, seeing the world spread out before you. You might think of a moment when you felt complete, when you knew you'd made it through. The darkness was real, but so was the light. Every step, every struggle, it brought you here, to this moment of clarity, of strength. And now, there's a legacy to leave, a light to pass on. Think of how your story could inspire someone else, how your courage could light their way. Maybe it's a kind word you share, a lesson you teach, or simply the way you live. The light you carry, it's not just for you. It's a gift meant to shine beyond you, to touch lives you may never know. So here's my challenge to you. Take a moment today to reflect. Look at your own journey, the light you've loved, the darkness you've endured. What has it taught you? What light can you carry forward? Write it down, share it with someone, or just hold it in your heart. But don't let it stay hidden. The world needs your light, just as you needed it to find your way. Step forward, keep walking, and let that light shine. And then, just when you think the darkness might win, a ray of light breaks through. It's not a flood, not a blaze, just a single beam, like sunlight slipping through a crack in the clouds. You know those moments in life, don't you? When a kind gesture, a sudden insight, or a quiet victory lifts the weight just enough to keep you moving. Maybe it was the day you finished a task you'd been dreading, or when someone saw your struggle and offered a hand. That light, it's a reminder that the journey isn't just about enduring. It's about finding joy in the small wins, the ones that whisper, "You're stronger than you know." But the darkness leaves its marks, doesn't it? Like scars on a tree after a storm. The challenges you faced carve themselves into you. Think about the times you've carried pain, maybe a loss that still aches, or a failure that stings when you think of it. Those scars, they're not just wounds. They're proof you survived. There's a verse in Isaiah that says, "By his wounds we are healed." It's a promise that even the deepest cuts can lead to something whole, something new. The darkness shapes you, but it doesn't define you. It's the light you choose to hold on to that tells your story. Now picture yourself standing still, caught in the dance of light and shadow. They move together, not fighting but flowing, like waves on a shore. Life isn't about banishing the darkness. It's about learning to walk through it with grace. You might think of a time when joy and pain sat side by side, maybe a moment of laughter in the middle of grief, or hope blooming in a season of doubt. That dance, it's the rhythm of being human. It teaches you to hold both, to love the light for its clarity and endure the darkness for its lessons. The path ahead, though, it's still unclear. The unknown stretches out like a fog, thick and heavy, making every step feel like a risk. You know that feeling, don't you? When the future is a question mark, and you're not sure if you're ready for what's next. Maybe it's a new chapter in your life, a move, a change, a leap into something untested. The darkness of not knowing can paralyze, but it can also awaken. It asks you to trust, to take that step even when you can't see where it lands. What would it look like to embrace that uncertainty, to let it guide you instead of scare you? There's a strength that comes from faith, a light that burns steady even when the world shakes. Think of a time when you leaned on something bigger than yourself, maybe a prayer in a quiet moment, or a belief that carried you through. The Bible says in John, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." That light, it's not just out there. It's in you, in the faith that keeps you standing when everything else falls away. It's the courage to believe that the dawn is coming, even when the night feels endless. Now imagine looking into a still, clear lake, its surface like a mirror. You see yourself, not just as you are, but as you could be. The darkness has a way of stripping away the noise, doesn't it? It forces you to face the truth of who you are, your strengths, your flaws, your dreams. Maybe there's something you've been avoiding, a truth you've pushed down. This moment, this reflection, it's a chance to see clearly, to let the light of honesty guide you toward something real. But the fog rolls in again, thicker this time, wrapping you in confusion. You feel lost, like a ship drifting without a star to guide it. Life can feel like that sometimes, when plans unravel, when answers don't come. Maybe it's a season when nothing seems to make sense, when every choice feels wrong. The darkness here, it's not just a challenge, it's a teacher. It asks you to slow down, to listen, to trust that even in the fog, there's a path. One step, then another. That's how you find your way. And then there's that spark again, stubborn and small, refusing to go out. It's the part of you that won't give up, even when you're exhausted. Think of a time when you kept going, not because it was easy, but because something inside you wouldn't let you stop. Maybe it was a project you finished through sheer will, or a relationship you fought for against the odds. That spark, It's your resilience, your proof that the light lives in you. No matter how dark the night got, every choice you make, it shapes the path. Some choices feel heavy, like stones you carry with you. Maybe you think of a decision that changed. Everything, a job you took, a word you spoke, a chance you let pass. The darkness loves to make you question those choices, to weigh you down with what ifs. But what if those choices, even the hard ones, were leading you somewhere? What if they were the map, not the mistake? The light shows you the way, but it's the steps you take in the dark that make you who you are. And then there's the moment when you realize you're not alone. You light a candle, and someone else sees it. You share a kind word, a helping hand, and suddenly the darkness feels less heavy. Think of a time when you reached out, maybe to a friend in need, or a stranger who needed hope. That act, that connection, it's like lighting a lantern in the night. It doesn't just guide you, it guides others. The light you carry, it's not just for you. It's meant to be shared, to shine into someone else's darkness. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, uncharted wilderness. The sun is setting, casting a warm golden glow across the horizon, but the shadows are creeping in, swallowing the light. You feel it, don't you? That pull between the comfort of what you can see and the uncertainty of what lies ahead. Life is like that sometimes. It offers moments of clarity where everything makes sense, and then it plunges you into the unknown, where every step feels like a leap of faith. But here's the thing. The light you love, the one that shows you the way, it never really leaves you. It might dim, it might flicker, but it's there, waiting for you to find it again. Now picture yourself in that wilderness, the air thick with the weight of night. The darkness isn't just the absence of light. It's a presence, heavy and real. It wraps around you, whispering doubts, reminding you of every time you stumbled, every moment you felt lost. Maybe it's a job you lost, a relationship that frayed, or a dream that slipped through your fingers. The darkness doesn't just hide the path. It makes you question if there ever was one. But even here, in this heavy silence, there's a spark. A memory, maybe, of a time when you pushed through. A moment when you chose to keep going, even when the way was unclear. What do you think so far? Can you feel that tension between the light you long for and the darkness you're facing? Share your thoughts, because this journey is as much yours as it is mine. That spark, that faint glow, it's like a single star breaking through a clouded sky. It reminds you of something bigger, something eternal. There's a verse in the Bible, Psalm 23, that says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." That promise, that hope, it's a light that no darkness can fully extinguish. And yet, the valley is real. The shadows are real. They press in, testing your resolve, making you wonder if you'll ever see the dawn again. But here's the truth. Every step you take in that valley is shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for what's to come. Thank you for staying with me this far. Your presence here means more than you know, and I promise you, the best is yet to come. Keep walking with me, because this journey is about to get even deeper. Sometimes, the darkness feels heavier because it carries the weight of your past. Old mistakes, regrets, words left unsaid, they linger like shadows that refuse to fade. You might think of a choice you made years ago, one that still stings when you replay it in your mind. The darkness loves to remind you of those moments, doesn't it? It whispers that you're not enough, that you can't move forward. But what if those shadows aren't chains? What if they're just echoes, lessons carved into your soul to make you wiser? The light you seek, it's not just ahead. It's within you. In the courage it takes to face those echoes and keep moving. There's a moment, isn't there, when you catch a glimpse of something brighter? Maybe it's a kind word from a friend, a quiet morning where the world feels right, or a sudden clarity that cuts through the fog. Those moments are like rays of sunlight breaking through a storm. They don't erase the darkness, but they remind you that it's not the whole story. You start to see that the light and the darkness, they're not enemies. They're part of the same dance, each step teaching you something new about yourself. Like a traveler crossing a desert, you learn to cherish the oasis, but you also learn to endure the endless sands dot in the quiet of the night. When the world is still, you hear it a whisper, not of doubt, but of possibility. The darkness becomes a canvas, a place where you can imagine what could be. Think about a time when you felt stuck, when everything seemed to be closing in. Maybe it was a season of grief, or a moment when you felt utterly alone. But then something shifted. Maybe it was a prayer, a conversation, or just a fleeting thought that said, "Keep going." That whisper, that's the light speaking, even in the deepest night. Now imagine meeting someone else on this path. Their story is different, but their struggle feels familiar. You share a glance, a nod, a moment of understanding. Life is full of these intersections, isn't it? People who cross your path, who remind you that you're not alone. They carry their own light, and when you stand together, the darkness doesn't seem so heavy. Maybe it's a neighbor who listened when you needed to talk, or a stranger whose kindness caught you off guard. Those connections, they're like lanterns, lighting the way for both of you. But there are moments when the path feels too steep, when the darkness tempts you to turn back. You stand at a crossroads, wondering if it's worth it to keep going. The weight of it all, your fears, your doubts, your failures, it pulls at you. You might think of a time when giving up felt easier than pushing forward. Maybe it was a dream you let go, or a fight you walked away from. But here's the question. What if stopping now means missing the light that's just beyond the next hill? What if the darkness is just the final test before the dawn? In the stillness of the night, there's a lesson waiting. The darkness, it doesn't just hide, it teaches. It asks you to sit with yourself, to listen to the quiet. Think about a moment when you were alone with your thoughts, maybe late at night, when the world was asleep. The silence can feel heavy, but it can also be a gift. It's where you hear the truth, where you find the strength to keep going. The darkness isn't your enemy. It's a teacher, showing you how to be patient, how to trust the slow unfolding of your journey. But sometimes, the darkness carries another weight, the burden of trying to be perfect. You know that pressure, don't you? The need to have it all. Together, to never falter. Maybe it's the expectations you put on yourself, or the ones others placed on you. You strive, you push, but the light doesn't come from perfection. It comes from embracing the mess, the flaws, the moments when you fall short. Like a cracked vase that still holds water, your imperfections let the light shine through in ways you never expected. And then there's a shift. The horizon changes, and you catch sight of something new, a possibility, a hope, a dawn breaking through the night. It's like the moment when a long struggle starts to make sense, when you see the first signs of change. Maybe it was a day when you felt alive again, when a weight lifted and you knew you were moving towards something better. That horizon, it's not the end. It's a promise that the light is always waiting, even after the longest night. But even in that light, shadows linger. Not the kind that swallow you, but the kind that remind you of where you've been. Think of a time when you thought you were past something, a pain, a fear, but it crept back in. Those shadows, they're not here to haunt you. They're here to ground you. They remind you that the light is precious because of the darkness you've endured. They teach you to walk with both, to carry your story with grace. There's a power in letting go, isn't there? In forgiving not just others, but yourself. The Bible speaks of love that covers a multitude of sins, a light that heals what was broken. Think of a moment when you let go of a grudge, or when you found the courage to forgive yourself for a mistake. That act, it's like opening a window in a dark room, letting the light pour in. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, but it frees you to step into the light. Sometimes, though, the darkness feels like a storm raging inside you. Doubts, fears, anger, they swirl, threatening to pull you under. You might think of a time when your heart was heavy, when you wrestled with questions that had no answers. That storm, it's real, but it doesn't have to define you. It's in the chaos that you learn to anchor yourself, to find the light that holds, steady even when everything else shakes. And then there's gratitude, a light so bright it can transform even the darkest moments. Think of a time when you paused to give thanks, maybe for something small, like a warm meal or a kind word. Gratitude doesn't ignore the darkness. It shines through it, showing you what's still good, what's still true. It's like finding a single flower growing in a barren field, a reminder that beauty persists no matter the season. The past has a way of calling you back, doesn't it? Memories, like echoes, can pull you into the darkness. Maybe it's a moment you wish you could redo, or a loss that still feels raw. Those echoes, they don't have to trap you. They're part of your story, yes, but they're not the whole of it. The light you carry, it's stronger than the shadows of yesterday. It's the courage to keep walking, to let the past teach you without holding you back. And then there's the call to be brave, to step into the unknown, to face the darkness with your head high. Think of a time when you took a risk, when you chose to act despite the fear. Maybe it was a conversation you didn't want to have, or a dream you chased against the odds. That courage, it's a light that burns bright, guiding you through the night, showing you that you're capable of more than you ever imagined. In the heart of the darkness, there's a kind of peace. Not the absence of struggle, but the acceptance of it. It's the moment when you stop fighting the night and start listening to it. Think of a time when you found calm in the middle of a storm, when you let go and trusted the path. That peace, it's a light that doesn't shout, it whispers, reminding you that even in the darkness, you're never truly lost. There's a moment when the light feels like truth itself, sharp and clear, cutting through the fog of doubt. You know that feeling, don't you? When something clicks and you see yourself or your life in a new way. Maybe it was a quiet realization about what matters most, or a truth you faced after years of running from it. That truth, it's like a beacon guiding you forward. But it asks something of you to be honest, to be brave, to step into the light even when it reveals things you'd rather not see. And then there's a turning point, a moment when one chapter of your life closes. It's like standing at a door, knowing that once you step through, things will never be the same. You might think of a time when you left something behind, a job, a place, a version of yourself. The darkness of that ending can feel heavy, but it's also a beginning. The light waits on the other side, not as a reward, but as a promise that every ending carries the seeds of something new. That promise blooms into hope, a light so vivid it feels like a rebirth. Picture a moment when you felt alive again, when the weight of the past lifted and you saw a new path ahead. Maybe it was a day when you laughed freely, or when a dream you thought was lost came back to life. That hope, it's not just a feeling. It's a force pulling you toward the light, reminding you that the darkness was never the end of your story. But the darkness has its lessons, doesn't it? It's taught you things you couldn't learn in the light. Think of a time when a struggle shaped you, when you came out stronger, wiser, more yourself. Maybe it was a loss that taught you to cherish what you have, or a failure that showed you what you're capable of. The night, with all its weight, is a teacher, carving out space in your soul for the light to shine even brighter. Life is a balance, a dance between light and shadow. You can't have one without the other. You might think of a moment when you felt that balance, when joy and pain, hope and fear sat side by side. It's like walking a tightrope, where every step requires focus, trust, and grace. The light shows you the way, but it's the darkness that teaches you how to walk. Together, they make you whole. A living story of resilience and growth, Doc. And then there's Purpose, a light that burns steady, even in the storm. Think of a time when you knew why you were here, when something bigger than yourself called you forward. Maybe it was a cause you fought for, a person you loved, or a quiet sense of mission that kept you going. That purpose, it's a compass, guiding you through the darkest nights, showing you that every step has meaning. But the darkness can feel lonely, can't it? Like a weight that presses down when you're alone with your thoughts. You might remember a time when you felt isolated, when the world seemed far away. That loneliness, it's real, but it doesn't have to define you. It's in those moments that you learn to reach out, to seek the light of connection, to remember that you're never as alone as you feel. And then there's the light of community, the warmth of being seen, of being known. Think of a moment when someone stood by you, when a shared laugh or a quiet understanding lifted your spirit. Maybe it was a friend who listened, a family member who believed in you, or a stranger who offered kindness when you needed it most. That light, it's multiplied when you share it, when you stand together in the face of the dark. But the darkness isn't done with you yet. It brings a challenge, one that feels like a test of everything you've learned. Picture a moment when life pushed you to your limits, maybe a crisis, a choice, or a fear you had to face. The darkness looms large, daring you to give up. But you've walked this path before. You've seen the light, felt its warmth. This test, it's not here to break you. It's here to show you how far you've come. And when you push through, there's a victory not loud, not flashy, but deep and quiet. It's the kind of wind that settles in your bones, the kind that changes you. Maybe it was a moment when you overcame something you thought was impossible, when you stood taller than you ever thought you could. That victory, it's a light that shines from within, a testament to the darkness you've endured and the strength you've found.